We're talking today about a show where I'm going to point out what's really going on. Who's really being targeted by California and their advanced clean fleets rule. And that's not all. Are they coming up after you guys, or is this a direct hit on the entire trucking industry itself? We're talking about news on regulations that trucking associations across the country are calling unworkable and also unconstitutional. But is this really about cleaner air, or is it about a blatant power grab? I'm also taking a stab at unionization. That conversation comes up quite a bit, especially comes up around this channel, just simply because of different topics I talk about. I have no problem covering the news, and I have no problem covering things that I think you and the greater public need to know about. So I'm going to ask a question about this whole unionization topic and hopefully get you thinking about ways to make trucking great again. All in due time, of course. Eight 785-3547 is our line, your line to me. Call our studio now. Email us at thatstruckingnews@outlook.com. Broadcasting from inside the Truckin City mobile studios, currently going through the foothills of Pennsylvania. I'm Boss Man, the CIC of the United States of Truckin, opening what is now going to be known as the best call-in show of our time. Coming to you with a skill granted by God himself to restore your faith in broadcast talent. My aim, my goal is to make you realize that there is a way to make trucking great again. Don't settle for silence, guys. Speak out. Be heard. It's our job to do what we can to make our industry better. We do that by talking with you in the audience and the panelists I have with me tonight, which span well over 150 years worth of great experience. With the stories I covered tonight, and with hopefully your involvement by leaving comments, calling our studio line, and getting involved, we can make trucking great again. I'd like to think that what I'm doing is catching on, and it is. It's catching on because there's more of you in the audience. There's more people watching. So I'm going to ask you to take a moment, subscribe to the channel, tell others about it. Subscribing is one thing. I don't want you subscribing and then just blindly coming back in 6 months and checking me out. But go tell others about what it is we're accomplishing. I have the only talk show that I know of where you as a viewer can not only watch what's going on, absorb what's being said, but you can also get in on what's going on. You can have your say. You can make a difference. And you can be part of a movement that, as far as I'm concerned, will never end. We need trucks to get the job done. But we need people like you that are willing to go the extra mile to make it happen.
Shall we begin?
Steering wheel and look ahead to what you can do to help make trucking great again. It's real simple. All right. Everybody drives around nowadays, and the only thing they do is just look at, well, all right, I guess I can do this. I guess I can do that. But they don't think beyond the front of the bumper of their truck. They don't think about offering advice. They don't think about mentoring. They don't think about the obvious. Well, people I have on this panel with me today are professionals. I mean, they have gone the extra mile and even said so on this channel that they want to show the younger generation the best way to make a difference. And the way you do that is by taking somebody under your wing and saying, hey, look, what you do might work for you, but I've got a better way. One such guy is in the audience, and he's got 50 plus years. Poet, am I getting that right? You've got 50 years, and you have no problems. 54. I bless you. I get it wrong every time. You have no problem showing people what's right, what's wrong. Wait,
no, I don't.
What kind of a feeling do you get out of doing that? I mean, it must really make you feel good to do that.
It makes me feel good, but it also makes me feel better that I am trying to prevent accidents from happening, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and
back
agreeably so. A lot of people don't do that.
Back in my early 20s, we didn't have ratchet binders. Okay, we had to snap over type. I have one open up on me at a steel factory in Ontario, catch me right between the eyes and knock me off the trailer.
Wow.
So if you want to know what's wrong with me, I got hit in the head. So
you've got a few screws loose, no doubt. I get the joke there.
Okay.
I'll tell you, another fella, not to cut you off, Poet, another fella that likes to show off and tell people better ways of doing things is with us today. Driving with John, always a consummate reminder that truckers are people too. How are you doing tonight, John?
I'm doing wonderful. I'll tell you what, I think I'm doing it wrong. You said staring at the steering wheel. I don't look at the wheel ever. Oh, man. Am I doing it wrong?
I can't even use a euphemism around you and get away with it. My word, you call me out on everything.
It's my job.
There you go.
You got to hang your head out the window and look at your steering wheel.
Yeah, you got to look at the front wheel and make sure you're not hitting anything. We're going to get to audience comments and to my opening thoughts here in just a moment. I just want to remind you people that, I mean, it is incredibly tedious work to come up with all of this. And I want you and the audience to know and to benefit from what I do. So if there's ever a nice bone in your body, take a moment and just resolve to share this with somebody else. Because the more shows like this people get involved in, and the more people like you see on this panel actually take a second to show others the right way to do things, the better off this entire industry will be. So let me tell you, I mean, that is the main message I want to deliver. One more thing before I go to my opening thoughts. And it's right now, you're currently used to a Saturday 11 a.m. schedule. Okay. I'm currently looking to change for the better and go in a direction I think will avail you and the audience to this show in a better way. Saturday at 11 was an experiment. And I've noticed with some of the analytics and some of the things that are coming in, people telling me when they're available and just polling that I've done independently, I've noticed that this time frame right here is good and better for you to watch the show and actually get involved. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for involvement. Phone calls on the studio line, comments in the chat, emails from the audience. That's what I'm after. And I've actually figured out that 7 p.m. is a better time. So starting next week, not this coming Saturday, but the week following this Saturday, my Frontline Saturday show will move to 7 p.m. It will no longer be 11. It will be 7 p.m. Eastern time, and it will start at 7 instead of 11. I want to make sure everybody's aware of that. That is a move that I think will work for the best, allow you the involvement and the time it takes to watch the show and be part of the show. So I encourage y'all to tune in. If you've got bookmarks, if you've got favorites, all of that, make sure that you set them right, because I don't want you to miss a trick. Let's get to something I think really needs some attention, and I think it needs attention immediately. Getting used to these controls here. You know, this is a topic I want to talk about that's always guaranteed to spark some fiery debate. Look, when you bring up unions in America, it's like dropping a match in a dry field. Everyone's got an opinion. And they're usually about as passionate as a semi rolling full speed down I-40. And why wouldn't they be? I mean, unions are the bedrock of the country's labor movement, and they've also been a thorn in the side of plenty of businesses and people in trucking. Now, I don't want to get everybody fired up. I am not a pro-union individual, okay? But I do want to highlight something that happened recently, and it plainly involves the man you see here to my right. Sean O'Brien, a big name, powerful voice, head honcho of the Teamsters. He got himself in the spotlight recently, but not for the reason you may think. He said he couldn't back either one of the presidential candidates. You heard that right. He's decided for the first time since 1996 that the International Brotherhood of Teamsters is not going to back a presidential candidate. Now, on one hand, you've got this guy talking about Biden. He says, well, he doesn't want to back the presidential candidate on the Democratic side for just one simple reason. And that reason comes out to be like this.
And that's a great point. President Biden and his administration did fix 300 pension funds that were critically and declining and on the verge of insolvency. In 1980, in the Teamsters Union, we had 400,000 Teamster truck drivers in the freight division. Democratic legislation led by Senator Ted Kennedy and signed off by Joe Biden in 1980 passed trucking deregulation. And that caused a huge strain on pension funds that just kept, each year it kept getting worse and worse. And yes, they fixed the problem, but that problem was created by the people that fixed the problem, and they don't want to recognize that. And I appreciate it. My members appreciate the pension being fixed, but I always tell people, I broke my mother's window playing street hockey in 1980, and for 40 years she's been asking me to fix it. I finally fix it. Should I look for praise for fixing a problem that I helped create?
You know, he gave a speech recently besides that interview, and he talked about he talked at the Republican National Convention, and he must have really steamed a lot of people, because he got up there and did nothing more than go after corporations and talking about what needed to happen for his union. He went after these greedy corporations, saying that they're exploiting workers and the American laws are stacked against workers who want to unionize. Well, folks, he's not wrong in some cases. The system isn't exactly designed to make it easy for any little guy to get anything done. But here's where I've got a bit of a different take. Look, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. There's no way we're going to gain parity in numbers big enough to change the trucking industry through unionization. And protests are a pipe dream. Okay, we've seen it time and time again that the numbers just aren't there. If you want real change, it's got to start from within. Person to person, load to load, company to company. We've got to dig in, and we've got to make our industry stronger by being smarter, by looking out for each other, not waiting for some union savior or some government bigwig to come down and hand us what we want. Unions have their place, but let's not fool ourselves into thinking that they're the magic bullet that'll fix trucking's problems. We've got to be in the driver's seat of our own future. You want to improve pay? You want to improve conditions? You want better respect? You got to start with the guy looking in the mirror. You've got to start with you. And then you've got to look at the fella next to you. And you've got to treat him like a brother. Start with how you run your load, your business. That's where the real power lies. All these people getting in my comments saying that we have to stop today, brother, that's not going to do anything. It's not going to send the right message. And at the end of the day, we're the bad guys. What do you guys say? What do you guys think? I want to hear from you in the audience. Sean O'Brien's on point, at least with what needs to be done and what's fair for the workers. Or is he just got another union? Is he just one of those, once again, another union leader just trying to steal the thunder and make it all about him and his union? Let's get this conversation rolling. Call the studio line right now. Let me know what your thoughts are. I want to hear what you think. What can you bring to the conversation? What can you bring to the industry? And what can you bring to the front lines? Thumper and Bo, how about a greeting to you folks? You've been waiting patiently back there. What do you think about my opening thoughts?
Well, I mean, you're kind of on point, but also at the same time, my opinion on the union, which isn't a bad opinion, but it does affect the higher ups on who is running the union. You know, it's all about them making money more than us. I mean, I'm not saying union's bad and I'm not saying it's good. I haven't really dealt with them. I've had family members that are in the union, but it's all about money. I mean, that's just kind of how the world is. It's all about money, and who can make more money off of the other person. And that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Yeah. I want to welcome some faces in. We got a lot of comments today, so God bless everybody in. Griff USMC, welcome to the show. Glad you can make it today. Let me see. Scanning the comments real quick here. Let me see here. That's my trucking guy. That's you. I got to get used to these names. You guys are just chatting amongst yourselves in the comments. My word. Here, I thought I had some people actually talking to me here. All righty, guys. So we got one strange face here. KC. It's been in the makings for years. I don't know. I'm just saying hi from Dublin. God bless. Welcome to the show from Ireland. I like seeing, and that's another thing I like about having an evening time slot. You guys in the UK can more readily get an advantage of getting the US perspective on trucking. Larry, what do you think? Do you think Sean O'Brien's a bag of hot air, or do you think he's actually got something going on?
I think everybody that's in the higher ups are full of air. They're not out to help me.
Well, I can tell you one thing. I personally think that Sean O'Brien really did not have Yellow's best interest in mind. I'll tell you that. Now, Darren Hawkins didn't really do them much better because as a corporate leader, he kind of had a large part in ruining the company too. But I don't know. Thinking back, I think there was a little bit of on both sides where they could have actually worked together and probably saved the company. I mean, yeah, Darren shouldn't have ruined the company to begin with. Don't misunderstand me.
Right.
But what actually did transpire there before they did finally fold is he really did want to restructure and he really did want to make positive changes. And some of the union folks were even behind him. But because the Teamsters said they wanted to go their way, they were obligated. You know, once the union speaks, you can't really fight them on it. So, you know, you're kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place in that case. So, you know.
Well, with me being an OTR driver, I really don't have to deal with unions that much either. So,
no, there you go. All right, we lost somebody. Don't know what happened there.
We lost Poet.
I guess we'll get him back here. There he is. It's that dependable northern Alberta internet connection. Sometimes the squirrels have to take a break and step off the wheel, so
This
he dropped.
this is
So.
my fault. This is my fault.
No, I don't think it was your fault. I'm just picking on you. Got to do something to get
That's
some
okay.
levity in the show. I mean, come on,
Yeah, I know. That's
you're just right down the alley, the right guy to pick on. That's all I'm telling you.
that's okay. I'll deal with it.
So
Are you trying
exactly,
to
yeah.
do my job and tell jokes now? What the heck?
Well, no, you had yourself muted, so I figured you were out of the joke game for the moment anyway. I mean, joke on, my friend, joke on.
Hmm.
Nah, I'm not gonna mess with Poet. Poet's a good
Nah,
guy.
Why?
there you go.
Why? Why? You do
Why
it
not?
another time.
If we didn't mess with Poe,
Well,
he would think we didn't like him.
I was taught to respect my elders, and you're definitely elder to me.
Oh,
Ooh,
fighting
them
words.
fighting words, exactly, yeah.
No,
So I mean,
Hey,
no, not
so are you,
fighting
boss
words.
man?
That's my heart. That's my
sometimes
heart.
I'm young at heart, so I'll only have take that. Well, look, at the end, before I move on, I just want to make one point known. I mean, I don't care if it's on your channel, John, or if it's on Grumpy's group. I don't care. Everywhere I go, I see this argument about where everybody needs to band together and once and for all stop trucks. I mean, who here really thinks that? I mean, it's tantamount to unionization, which, when you think about it, and I've made this point in several shows and several lives before, it's just not feasible to do. There's way too many of us out here. We're spread over too many sectors. There's no way we can make an effective message stick by doing that. So why people leave those comments in any and all the social media that I see, I really have to wonder, are they thinking this through? I mean, what do you guys think?
Here's the problem with that. Every time I hear about someone, blocking a road or whatever. Now let's use New York City when they wanted to do the New York City thing. Now they shut down New York City and they block all the roads. How long before the infants run out of formula and blah 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 blah? All of a sudden, no longer are we the sympathetic truckers. We're the villains. Isn't the
We're the
point we're not
troublemaker.
supposed to be a villain? The point
Yeah,
is we want people to look at us and go, "Hey, they're good people. We want to help them."
right.
So that's the
Hmm.
problem with that.
We're
Can
constantly
I?
looking. I mean, on one minute, Paul. We're constantly looking for support and sympathy from the public. But yet at the same time, we then turn around and do stupid crap like Manhattan, Black Rock, Washington Beltway. No offense, poet, but Canadian protests. I mean,
Yep.
do these people really think that the end message is going to be well received, especially when the media turns it around and makes it against us? What say you, poet?
Right now, we have a situation just west of Toronto where uh, a couple of hundred drivers, truckers, owner operators are protesting against wage theft.
Yeah,
Let's leave that one alone, okay, and see how that plays out.
right.
But I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember the nationwide shutdown in the USA. And that's about 30 or 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So
76.
a majority, huh? 96? I think it
76.
was earlier than that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was going to say it was in the 70s.
Yeah, how many drivers got shot by other drivers for not shutting down? And it's the same thing I've been preaching. You
Mm-hmm.
put 10 truckers in a room, ask them what the weather is like outside, you're going to get 30 different answers.
Yeah, exactly. And it always happens because everybody's got a different goal, agenda, or purpose. I mean,
Yep.
it's like the same way I opened the show. It was just basically most, and I don't say this about everybody. So if you're in the audience and you're watching and you disagree, by all means, put it in the comments. Let me know. But I think a majority of people that were trained recently and in the industry today are selfish as hell. They're in it for themselves. They don't really care about the broader implications of problems in the industry, and they don't get involved in things like these kind of shows and what other measures they can proclaim or procure to actually help the industry grow. And I really think it's a shame. And because of that, that's the leading reason why things like what you're talking about are a problem, Poet. I think it's probably due to the fact that everybody's so narrow tunnel visioned, I guess is the only way I can say it. And that's what I'm hoping I can change because, I've been in it now since 2012. I've been in transportation since the late 80s. I love the fact that, every little small thing you do has a huge effect on everyone else. And it's always
a ripple effect.
interesting. Exactly. And it's always an interesting thing for me to watch it unfold and be part of that because I was part of a big company. And believe me, I made some small changes that made some huge improvements. I was highly respected, highly lauded for it, and paid well for my contributions. Now, I don't make the same money now, but I'd like to think I can do the same for trucking too. So we need more people like me, more people like you in the audience watching, because if you're watching, you obviously care about your future. So more power to you guys, and let's keep this show going. I mean, it's a matter of time, and yeah. Go ahead, man.
So I'm gonna throw a little bit of a good note in here. Yesterday morning, I was in Hot Springs, South Dakota, and I delivered a load of cattle there the night before.
Right.
And I actually forgot my wallet in the truck, and I went in there to go get a cup of coffee and a Rice Krispie bar. The lady that was standing in line behind me bought my coffee and my Rice Krispie treat while I went out to my truck to grab my wallet and come back in. The lady behind the desk goes, "So there are good people out there." And she did leave a message for me. She goes, "You're a truck driver. You go through a lot. You work really hard. Coffee and my little breakfast was on her."
Great.
Cool.
It's nice to know that there are some people that are still in this world that recognize our abilities, our talents, and respect us for it. So that was a very nice story to hear. I'm glad to hear that.
It's the same as what I do with the men in uniform. If they're at a coffee shop, I don't care if it's a busload. I will buy their coffees and their snacks.
Midlife chiming in from the comments, withholding food necessities from innocent people until their demands are met sounds like terrorism.
That's true.
John Dew stole my side. Yeah. Well, it's not like you're on the show making it known,
If you don't show up for the show, then I'm free to use your content. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Hey, I got a couple of questions.
Better than actions.
There you go.
I got a couple of questions.
Sorry.
Go ahead, John.
Oh, no, that's fine. Actually, two things, not questions. One's a question, one's not. So as for people helping, I recently made a video about my Mac coming home, and I'm telling you, there are a lot of good people out here that do care about truckers. Some of them are truckers, some of them aren't. You just gotta pay attention. They are out here. I get a lot of comments, and I get a lot of hate. People that hate trucking, but I get a lot of people on there that literally just say, "Hey, I respect what you do," or "Hey, I respect all the truckers out there." There is a support out there for us. You just got to be willing to look for it, and overlook the people that aren't supportive, if you know what I mean. I wanted to point that out. But the other thing I wanted to do is I was counting on my fingers. So if you put 10 truckers in a room and you get 30 versions of weather, does that mean the 10 that are in the room all have split personalities? I don't. This doesn't math in my head. I'm so confused.
Well, hold up. We're truck drivers. That should explain a lot. I mean, split personalities. I mean, we're crazy enough to sit behind the wheel here.
Are you saying we're so isolated that we're just not sure who we are anymore? I mean, I go by
Well,
John, Bob, and about 5 other names, so it is possible.
well, I mean, I sit here and talk to myself in the truck here, and it's when I quit answering myself is when I start getting a little worried.
Well, you don't talk to yourself. You got Bo to talk to. What do you mean?
He's sleeping. I don't know if you can see him, but he's sleeping back there. That's where he hangs out most of the time.
There you go. There you go. Well, guys, I want to move on to another very important point that needs to be made. So, too many controls, but I'm all right. We'll get through it. All right. This story we've got to talk about. It cuts right to the heart of trucking's labor landscape. An author over at Trucking Dive brought up a situation that's unfolded at Warner Enterprises. It's a story that needs some attention mainly because, well, union efforts usually don't go very well, especially when it goes like this. A union effort at ECM Transport, a Warner subsidiary, has officially folded after a years-long push to establish a union representation for a group of workers across 3 sites in New Jersey, and it all came to a grinding halt real fast. We're talking about the Local 152, UFCW. Last year, they managed to certify themselves the exclusive bargaining representative for a small group of ECM workers. 14 of them, to be exact. Started off with a little momentum. We got a vote in place, 17-8, in favor of the unionization, but here we are, not even a year later, and guess what? The whole thing's been decertified, just like that. This, my friends, is where the rubber meets the road. Warner's always had a reputation for keeping unions at bay. They're practically immune to organized labor. And they've just been handed another win on that front. Now, before we go pointing fingers at these companies, let's just look at some facts here. UFCW workers, to get a contract in place, came up empty-handed. These guys were working this out. And it wasn't the company who pulled the plug. No, it was the workers themselves. They're the ones that signed the paperwork to decertify the union. This isn't an isolated incident. The tide's turning. Truckers are waking up and realizing, like I said in the earlier segment, as romantic as unions sound, it isn't always the golden ticket that it's born and sold to be. It's not the silver bullet that's going to solve every industry issue. When it comes down to it, workers don't want to be put through all the crap and the tough spots fighting for scraps. When you've got 500 drivers, but only 14 of them want a union, there's a problem. Look, I've said this before and I'll say it again. There's clearly no way to gain parity in numbers sufficient enough to affect the change industry-wide, especially through unionization. It's not just happening. We should start from within and work out. Truckers know what's going on here on the ground. We need to start person to person, load to load, company to company. That's where change happens. Waiting around for some outside force to sweep in and save the day, not going to happen. So if big companies realize where the rubber meets the road, why is it so many people are just so energetic and so loud when it comes to, yeah, let's get a union backing us. Let's get things really going and let's have everybody save the day. I mean, hats off to the guys at ECM. They saw the writing on the wall. This isn't about rejecting help. It's about realizing the help we need is right here in front of us. So what do you guys do?
Mhm.
What do you guys think? Do you think you guys think unionization is an answer, or do you think that it's time we take matter into our own hands and start doing things the right way? Audience, let me know in the comments. Tell me what you think. Call our studio line, 860-785-3547. What's your thoughts, John? What do you think? If Warner don't like it, that says a lot.
Well, let's be honest. Okay, the mega carriers, they're not about what's right and what's wrong. They're about where the profit is, where the money is. And that's all that matters. Nothing else really matters.
Well,
Let's,
notwithstanding their closure, it certainly worked well for Yellow for a long time until it didn't. It's working well for UPS now.
No, it's really not. I mean, okay, I'm not a big union guy. Yes,
No.
I actually have a friend that works for UPS, and he likes the union because he gets paid really well for what he does, and he does get paid very well. But the downside of that is, you get the majority that's going to tell you that you have to do something, or that you want, you might not like it, but you got to go with it because you're part of that union. That's the downside of being in a union. You have to go with what the collective agrees on. So we're not having a dog competition, by the way. I'm just babysitting Snoopy right now while my wife is busy. So
I think this show is going to the dogs. That's all I'm saying.
Hey. I mean, come on, you couldn't get much better than these two. If you're going to go to the dogs, you might as well. You know what I mean?
There you go. You might as well go out barking, right? Bark!
That's right.
I love it. Got to joke about it every chance you get, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
So-
which one's cuter. Which one's cuter? I mean,
Well, mine's a puppy. That's not really fair.
Oh,
Puppies
I was
are always
gonna
cuter.
say, why would you
Yeah.
put a puppy against
He-
the full-grown dog?
he's only
Summer,
two,
don't
so
go
he's
there
still a
because
puppy.
then we'll get to
Um,
the presidential debate.
President of the dogs.
There you go.
Hey,
Well,
I'm just
I always
saying.
like- I always
Since you're
like
bring-
dog spots, so I'm sorry, I'm partial to.
Well,
spots.
since someone down there is bringing up the presidential debate, I'm just saying, if I'm elected president, Snoopy comes with me. Come on. Everybody wants a first dog that looks like that.
Midlife makes a point. He said unions are great for weak workers.
True.
I
mean-
don't agree
Well,
Why is
Here's
that,
the-
poet?
Well,
Hold on.
I can.
because 50 years ago I worked to join a union
Okay.
if I wanted to work at a particular place.
Okay.
From there, I switched jobs and I
Okay.
was forced to join the Teamsters again. Okay. So
Okay.
now, in my age, I'm looking for my pension. Guess what? The guy that's buried in the New Jersey Stadium,
Mhm.
he got it all.
Okay. All right.
So,
So you
am
got
I pro-union?
a lot of. Well, I was going to say, it sounds like you got a lot of work and no recognition for it.
They stole my pension.
Yeah. Well, maybe you were caught up in what Sean O'Brien was talking about earlier, because he was talking about
I have
how
No
Biden's
idea.
deregulation was the thing that ended 400,000 jobs. And then it was just so coincidental that Biden's administration then came around saving the unionization pension funds only 30 years later.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So where's my money? Where's my money?
yeah, good luck getting that one from Biden, right?
Now, I
Right.
can't speak
Right.
to unions in trucking, but I actually worked in a factory when I was younger that was union. And
Right.
there's two things I found out. And I was pretty young. That's why I'm not a big union guy. The guy that doesn't work hard, but he's good at complaining, he's the one that has all the power. The guy that works hard and keeps his nose out of everybody's business, and he's the one with no power. That's not the way it's supposed to work. The hardworking guy that sets the pace should be the guy with the power. The other thing I figured out about unions is that no matter what, part of your check is going to them, even if you don't agree with what they're doing with it, you have no say. So
Very good.
if they decide to bury a guy under a stadium in New Jersey and that money disappears, it disappeared. There's nothing you can do about it, but you still have to pay it every single paycheck.
Yep.
Very true. Very true.
Here's
Yeah.
the
You are-
real question.
It's just like in an earlier show. You remember Midlife was sitting right here on this show and said, if you're for unions, if the dispatch says you got to speak Punjab, you're going to be doing that tomorrow. If the management of that union says you got to wear an orange shirt, guess what? You're wearing an orange shirt. And the same thing applies to your money. If they feel that your money is best spent somewhere other than on you, you lose. You got nothing to say about it, even as a union member. So
I don't like anyone telling me what I should do with my money.
there you go. And you're probably right on a majority of the people that watch this show. So welcome to the club, Larry.
If people like giving away money and get nothing for it, I do have memberships on my channel. I mean, I'm just saying.
Driving with John is coming through.
Yep.
Truckers are people too.
I got $1.
There you go.
Hey, I got a membership for $1. There you go.
There
See?
you go, right? Exactly.
Well, actually, the real
Midlife
question
Take a
is,
Will you take a
Midlife-
Canadian dollar? It's worth like 60 of your cents.
Yeah, right.
Well, you might need 2 Canadian dollars. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I
we don't
can't afford
we
that.
don't undervalue around here. Midlife says unions hold back strong workers. They reward seniority, not hard
Yep.
work,
Yep, exactly.
Exactly.
and that's why I
Yep.
don't like them.
so
Because you know what, I don't want to be recognized just because I'm the oldest fella in the room. So
that's
7C,
point.
I'm late, but glad I could join you guys for live finally after some storm relief for our Louisiana family. Well, God bless you. And I'll tell you what, 7Cs, unless you watch the replay, I'll save you time and trouble. I'm announcing tonight, just so that you're aware because you're in late, Saturday Frontlines is moving from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. In light of recent analytics and recent good results that came from a happy accident last week, I've decided the show belongs to 7 o'clock time frame. So henceforth, after this Saturday is already scheduled and already worked out, so it's already gonna be 11 o'clock. After this week, though, I'm moving it to 7 and we'll be at 7 o'clock every Saturday thereafter. So 7 o'clock is Frontline time, whether it's Wednesday or Saturday. It's easier on you, it's better for the audience, and I want to make sure you don't miss it, 7C. So definitely want to tune in 7 o'clock at night, not 11 in the morning.
Every
So-
time you show that guy that's part of the union, the president, whatever he is, why does that guy remind me of Grumpy?
What
he's
you
bald?
think Sean?
Look at him.
You think
Look
Sean
at him.
O'Brien
That's
looks
Grumpy.
like Grumpy?
That's
I see
Grumpy.
it. I see it.
I see
Oh
it
my
now,
goodness, I
too.
see it. Now I don't think I can unsee it.
Yeah.
Okay, we are gonna have to collectively take a snapshot of this moment and send it to Grumpy. I think he's gonna die when he sees that.
Hey, if he shaves his head bald, I'm telling you, like that could be his twin.
He already did.
So
He already
Yeah,
did.
he pretty much already did. He does that every so often. That is funny crap right there. That is. How do you say it,
Sorry.
Larry?
I didn't mean to throw that out there, but yeah, I kind of did. I've been sitting here
you
watching
did.
every time you pull that picture up, and all I see is Grumpy.
Yep.
Okay.
Either way you look at it, folks. I mean, to a point. I mean, unions work for some companies, and they also work for some applications. But I honestly don't think it's going to do the overall industry any good whatsoever. And I don't think it's the answer that everybody thinks it is. I'll tell you, when it comes to answers and solutions, I'm hoping more of you understand that you'll find more here than you ever will to mainstream media. Recently, there's been targeted a little bit of controversy on something that's gotten a lot of people fired up. And I want to talk about it. Now, let me ask you something. Who do you think in the audience? Let me ask you. Who do you really think is being targeted by California's Advanced Clean Fleets rule? You think they're coming for you as a trucker, or do you think this is a direct hit on the entire industry itself? Let's break something down. The Environmental Protection Agency is considering whether or not to grant waivers to enforce the Advanced Clean Fuels rule, which would mandate zero emissions trucks for certain high priority fleets, particularly those with 50 or more trucks. Now, on the surface, this looks like an environmental issue, right? Clean air, reducing emissions, all those warm and fuzzy buzzwords that come out of the media. But if you dig just a little deeper, you'll see that it isn't just about cleaning up the air. It's about power, control, pushing an agenda that could devastate our industry. So who's really in the crosshairs here? Look, we're the backbone of this country. Without us, the shelves are empty, the fuel tanks are dry, and the economy grinds to a halt. CARB isn't just targeting the truck driver driving up and down the highway. They're coming after the very livelihood of logistics in this country. They're making it nearly impossible for trucking companies, especially small fleets, to keep up with the over-the-top regulations. Land of Silicon Valley is an eco-virtue signaling paradise, to say the least. They're trying to force the electric truck mandate that the rest of the country didn't ask for, and frankly, it doesn't want. Price tag on these zero emissions vehicles, astronomical, severely unaffordable. The infrastructure ain't there, and the tech, well, let's not even go there. It's just not ready for prime time. And guess what? The costs are going to trickle down to us. That's right. So, who are the real victims here? Well, us, of course. We will bear the immediate burden, having to adopt to rules, make our work harder, more expensive, and frankly, more dangerous. The national truck carriers have already sounded the alarm about electric vehicle safety issues, especially when it comes to hazardous materials. Everyone remember these hazardous materials fires that took 50,000 gallons to put out? Some of these trucks aren't welcomed at some fuel terminals for fear of fires and explosions. Do we really want to put our guys in that? And the very supply chain we rely on, do we really want to put the risk in that? This goes beyond us, though. It's a full-blown attack on the entire industry. The big boys, the fleet operators with more than 50 trucks, they're feeling the heat, too. Don't think for a second that it stops there. California is trying to export its radical agenda to the rest of the country by leveraging its massive market share to access to international ports. They want to force nationwide compliance with their ban on combustion engines and force everybody to use electric vehicles to even access to ports. This, my friends, is a power grab. Trucking associations from the ATA to the Western States ATA are standing up and saying what we all know. The rule's unworkable, it's unconstitutional, and it will cripple the logistics that make America run. They're playing a game of regulatory chicken, CARB is, threatening to retroactively enforce these fleet rules even before the EPA grants the waiver. They're telling people, hey, you better comply now or else you're going to be behind the eight ball. What happened to due process? What happened to the rule of law? If they can do this to trucking industry one by one, they can do it to any industry. It's coercion, plain and simple. So now I ask you, who's being targeted? In my opinion, it's both truckers and the industry. But tell me in the comments what you think. Call our studio line, 860-785-3547. Let me hear your thoughts. This isn't just about cleaner air, it's about control. California is using its influence to drag the rest of the country into an experiment that could bring economic disaster. And let me tell you, if they get away with it here, they'll try it everywhere. We're talking about higher costs, logistics nightmares, fewer trucks, and you guys losing your livelihood. This isn't just an issue to talk about on the media. This is an issue that needs a solution. Guys, stay informed, stay vigilant, and let's keep the discussion going. I want to hear from you. You on the panel, you in the audience. I want to know what you think of California's BS push, dragging their feet, trying to get this waiver through or not through, whatever the case may be. What's the solution? What say you in the audience? Let us know. John, what do you think?
Well, here's the thing. Midlife's like wine, 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 wine. Wait, here's my take on it. Okay, no one wanted automatic transmissions. Eventually, it became the standard. You know why? Because it got to the point where that's what they offered. And electric trucks are probably going to be the same way. They don't need to pass laws. Make them so good that you can't refuse them. And then guess what? Everybody will be driving electric trucks. It's that easy. I
But
I
they
don't
do need to be
understand why we.
affordable. But they
Well,
do need to be affordable.
okay, okay. Well, what's affordable? You want to go buy a $250,000 Peterbilt, $250,000 Freightliner, maybe? I don't know. Is that affordable?
If that's the only option for electric, I pass. I don't think the average person sitting on this panel can afford it, much less those in the audience.
My point is,
Nope.
as with any technology,
Well,
if you make it good enough, it
yes.
will replace what you want it to replace. But you
To
can't
the
force
greater
it to be good enough.
to the greater point about the technology, I agree with you. Okay, but right now we still haven't reached that plateau yet. We still haven't gotten to a
You
point
tell
where
them.
it is affordable for anyone. The technology or the infrastructure, it's just not happening. They're pushing it through way too fast and they're cramming it down our throat like it's the ultimate answer, like it has to happen. Like Al Gore himself is, having a migraine or something. I mean, come on. Let's, as you say, let's perfect it. Let's make it workable. Let's make it affordable. And then it makes sense. And to that, I agree with you, John. What do you think, Thumper?
Well, we just had this discussion a couple weeks ago about electric vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well,
like I said,
Yeah, we did.
hi buddy. Um, there is a guy on YouTube that is making a hybrid. It's got a C. Well, actually, they just decided on a motor. They're going with a Scania motor running electric motors. And it's actually working out great for him. The hybrid idea, I like that because you don't have to stop for fuel. He is making them so they're affordable.
right. It
But
makes sense.
you know,
It makes sense to him in the dollars aspect. So God bless him. It's
yeah.
I
And,
think a far better way to go.
That
and
seems
he's
like the next
actually
This is
logical step
Edison.
anyway.
Yeah.
he's actually
This is
making them.
Edison.
Yes, there you go.
This
Edison
is
Motors. As I say, you should
Edison.
know who they were.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, I know who that
And,
is. Okay.
I mean,
Yep.
the trucks actually look like an old logging Kenworth.
Yep.
Like it's got
Kenworth.
the needle, it's got
Exactly.
the needle nose, it's got the old cab. It's actually a neat looking hybrid. Would I ever own one? I don't. Well, you sorry. You gotta Well, I ever own one? I don't know, honestly. I mean, I would have to see the more testing they do and everything else too.
Mhm.
But I mean, for me, for what I do, a Caterpillar engine with a 13 speed or 18 speed does me justice. So why do I need to change up what I do to make somebody else happy? You do you,
Exactly.
me do me. We'll get along just fine.
Yep.
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 And I do want to bring up one more thing. Earlier, I was trying to get this in before we moved over to this topic.
No, go ahead.
The whole union thing. The younger generation, do you even know what a union is? That's kind
Probably
of
not.
the way that's kind of the way I see it. I mean, the generation that's probably, I would say, younger than me, maybe, or maybe a tick younger or whatever, they probably don't know what a union is, so they just kind of in one ear and out the other, and they don't give two two sheets.
To that, I think they're caught up in the idea that everyone has just all that blanket time on their hands, that everyone can frankly stop and do those kind of things and get well represented by a group of people larger than themselves, which is fine. And as you point out, some of them don't even understand the concept. But I wanted to address it just simply because every time I turn around, I'm seeing people in comments, not only on my videos, but on others as well, you know, and it's abundantly obvious how when they make these comments, they think that it's just as easy as snapping a finger to either A, join a union, or B, just stop the country. You don't do that. And I'm sorry, but where I come from, change starts with you. It starts with what you do. You expecting the world to turn around on a dime, we're not the center of the universe. Okay. The universe has its own center. We have to work within what we're given and start change right here. We don't hope for change around everybody. This is not Obama administration anymore. It's not hope and change. You work for it. You do it. You get it done. Don't wish for it. Wish in one hand.
Crap in the
You
other.
know what to do in the other. Yeah. So, I mean, it don't work that way. So unions don't work for anybody but the unions. And we don't have time in the industry to expect that everyone's going to stop and cater to one problem. It just doesn't happen that way.
Can I respond?
So, nope.
Go ahead, by all means.
To the comment you have on the screen right now?
I was just about to, and then got sidetracked. So by all means.
Oh no, let me do it because he's like, oh, you're stealing my stuff. Okay, well, I'm not stealing this one from you, that's for sure. Hey, midlife, guess what? No one's forcing you to buy an electric truck. Well, if they get rid of diesel and you want to stay a trucker, they're forcing you to buy an electric truck. Come on, that's common sense, right? I mean, am I wrong? Is that not common sense?
It is very much common sense.
I'm triggering him really bad. He's screaming right now. I can hear him.
I can just see the smoke coming off the keyboard right now.
Yeah.
My thing was this, okay? And the whole reason I bring this all up to begin with, hold on one second, Poet. The whole reason I bring this whole thing up to begin with is simply because it's in the media. It's in our face. Every time you turn on a news program, every time you turn on a trucker show, everybody's talking up this nonsense about what are you going to do when they pass these waivers? What are you going to do when you're forced to? You know what? I really could care less, honestly, because at some point we're going to be forced. Yes. And at some point, to midlife's point, all right, we're going to have no choice. But until that happens, we do have a choice. And quite honestly, my thoughts on what that means and what that should look like, I feel like they're just as important as everyone watching. And no one says my answer is right. No one says what you're saying is right, midlife. But I can tell you this. There is a right answer somewhere. And right now, electric vehicles are not it. They are a way. They are a means. Exactly. They are a tool. Just like the diesel engine you're operating right now. But they're not the answer yet. Until that changes, that's my position. Go ahead, Poet. I don't want to be mean, cut you off. What would you want to say?
No. It's fine. No, your show. I wait.
Yep. No.
Coming back to John's comment, okay.
Sure.
You may want to add to that. If you want to run California, you are going to be forced to buy an electric truck.
At some point, I think it's what, 2037?
Am
I right, guys?
There's a state. There
doesn't matter.
New York.
Doesn't matter when it is.
Go ahead,
somehow or other, John, they are going to force you to buy an electric truck, whether you like it or not, if you want to go to California. Personally, I ain't never going to go there Go ahead,
Yep.
Thumper.
So, okay, I'm gonna say it's not just California. I got a buddy who lives out in New York State, and they just passed a law. I can't remember what city it is. They have to run either nitrogen or electric trucks. They do not allow diesel truck in their city.
hmm
So
I
it's
guess
not
they're gonna
just
starve.
California. It,
Yep.
it's not just California. New York is pretty much doing the same thing California is, but they're one step ahead and actually
Yes, sir.
enforcing it.
Yes,
And
sir.
Jersey and
Guys,
Massachusetts are right behind them. So
guys, we are at 1 hour, and I think we are about to turn this show upside down. You see the comment or the banner on the screen, right? He is in the background. Welcome to the show, Midnight. I just noticed backstage he was back
Wait,
there.
wait.
Are you willing to talk to us, or are you gonna just sit here and taunt us?
Okay, I know. I was waiting. for you
I
to
smell the
finish.
smoke. I smell that.
Look, look. You
Before
say
we
that
go,
you don't
I
want
would like
California
to
and New
make
York
an
to dictate to
announcement.
you that you have to buy an electric truck. You don't want to dictate that to them, right? That's what you said.
Now, who are you addressing? Are you
No,
addressing
wait.
me or John?
You said you do not want California or New York dictating that you have to buy an electric truck. Okay?
Who are you
why do
asking,
you,
said
me or
that.
John?
but why do you feel entitled to tell California and New York they got to let gasoline and diesel trucks in? Wait a minute now. Can't have it both ways. You want to dictate to them that they've got to continue to allow gasoline and diesel trucks. Pass a law against gasoline and diesel trucks. That's their freaking business. That's their
So are you arguing? So are you arguing for more regulations
don't
and
like
laws?
it? If you don't, it's up to California. If California wants to pass a regulation that says that you have to have a diesel electric truck, you have to have an electric truck. It's up to it to go there.
Then
You're nobody's forced to go there.
But you
And
said
as for
nobody was
hybrids,
forcing. That's forcing.
That's right. Nobody is forcing you to. You don't have to go to California.
Eventually,
48 other
all of
states.
them are going to be that way.
Oh, then you have no choice. You know why you got no choice? Because the people have spoken. The voters have spoken. The people they have put in office have
gag
spoken.
me. Gag me. The voters
hey,
have spoken.
voters
I need to talk to the
If
union head.
Hybrids are freaking worthless, okay? Hybrid trucks will never be OTR trucks. Those
Why do
hybrid
you say
trucks
that?
are special use because they don't have any benefit. Yes,
And
absolutely.
electric trucks have
That
electric trucks have 1,000 miles of range, right?
500
heard?
plus right now.
If that.
But here's the problem with the
Electric
hybrid
trucks
truck.
have 1,000 miles of range, right?
The hybrid truck is worthless. Here's a simple question for you. Your number one thing against the electric truck is the weight, right? A hybrid truck still has a diesel engine, still has diesel fuel, still has DEF, still has an exhaust system, a radiator, and it has batteries. So you just lost cargo.
Yep.
There's literally no advantage to the hybrid.
Well, I think what point that Thumper was making is that Edison channel, they're exploring hybrid options.
They're not exploring it for OTR trucks. They're simply exploring it for specialty trucks. No, they're not. No,
I
they
thought
are
there was
not.
a company out there that was exploring options for hydrogen
Edison is exploring it. Edison is exploring hybrid trucks, but for logging operations, for big operations that do not, they're not caring about how much they're not worried about how much weight they lose because they're exempt. They're not trying to become an OTR truck. Think about it. You still got all the weight of the diesel shit, and then you add the batteries to it. You've lost cargo. There's no advantage to them.
Here's something to think about. All right. Now, you got to start somewhere. So they specialize in logging. So they built a truck to do that. That's not saying that they won't start doing over the road eventually. You got to start somewhere.
Tesla electric trucks are already out, man.
Hey, midlife. Seven Seas wants to know why you're screaming.
Somebody's really passionate, isn't he?
Oh, my volume up that high?
oh, he's blaming it on his volume.
Hold on, Matt.
Hey guys.
Hold on a second.
I have an announcement to make before we quit.
He's pregnant.
I have to announce the passing of Dave McMillan, who,
Why
along
does
with
that
his
name sound?
wife,
I've
Smart
heard that name
Trucking.
before.
Smart
No,
Trucking.
no
Wait,
kidding.
what?
Really?
He passed away, okay, August 15th of this year. I don't know if Catherine is going to keep on doing the show. I sent my
Wait a minute.
condolences.
August 15th, and we're just now finding this out?
Yeah, what the heck?
I only found out about it this morning. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
I'm gonna have to look into this.
Yeah.
Sounds like a poet hoax to me.
No, I wouldn't call it.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
I don't know.
Yeah. No. Honest to God.
I
Like,
mean,
I've
if
been
it
in
is the
touch with
truth,
Catherine
if it is the
for
truth, it's
about a
breaking news
year.
right here on Frontlines. I mean, good Lord, I'm sorry to hear that, but damn, I thought he had tons
Yeah,
of life
okay.
left in him yet. Jesus.
He was
They're
only
talking about
68.
They're talking about Smart Trucking as a YouTube channel that is a Canadian
Yes.
trucker that he's very I think he was sponsored by GP Transcope, I remember correctly. But
He is.
Yep.
Seven
That's
Seven
right.
Seas was asking who he was. So
Yeah.
but if you're not familiar with him,
Okay.
go check out his channel. I'm going to be going and leaving my condolences to his family in there because it's the only way
Yeah.
I can. But
Yeah.
lost a good one there.
Damn
And
right.
he
Yeah,
had
we
great
did.
stories about
Because,
the
He was.
lettuce king.
oh,
Say it
yeah.
again.
He had great
Yeah,
stories about the
exactly.
lettuce king.
I loved hearing those stories.
Yep.
Yep. I loved
Yep.
hearing about
And the
those
thing
stories.
is,
Okay.
Seven Seas, it's Dave McMillan. He
I
lived
didn't know his name.
in Ontario.
Yeah.
He lived
I
in
didn't know what his
Canada,
last name was.
but
Yeah.
he carried on all over the USA as well as Canada. So a North American trucker.
Yeah. Wow.
And he's going to be
You just
sorely
caught me off
missed
guard,
in our
poet.
industry.
Yeah. I mean, that was something else.
I asked if I could make an announcement. I don't know if we're still live or what.
Yeah, we are.
We are.
Yeah.
We are.
Okay.
I think we're all just
Dave
speechless right now,
McMillan.
man.
Yeah, really.
Well, I have
One more.
sent
Oh,
Catherine. I have sent Catherine and Dave multiple emails. Okay.
Okay.
And I am saving the ones that Dave sent me back because I don't want to lose them.
No, I don't
Go
blame you
ahead,
there.
Thumper.
Thumper, go ahead, man.
Thumper.
okay. Let's end this on a positive note. For every truck driver, every person out there, help one each other out. Thank a trucker. We appreciate you when you do tell us thank you and everything else. And we don't do it just for us and our families.
My friends.
Rubber down.